This week on POL, we'll visit the Pocono Wildlife Rehabilitation and Education Center to meet Darla. Darla is a baby beaver. And we'll look in on a few of the other animals in their care. And it's only on WNEP. Hello everyone and welcome to POL. I'm Don Jacobs and I'm in the beautiful Cherry Valley area at the Pocono Wildlife and Rehabilitation Center. I've got to tell you, whenever they call and say they have a neat critter, a new critter, just something strange and interesting, we come down to visit. Now, they have a new resident. Her name is Darla, she's a beaver, and you're going to hear from Janine Tangretti and Ella about taking care of a beaver.
This is Darla. Darla was recently transferred to us from Newhouse Wildlife Rescue in Massachusetts because we have a much bigger facility than they do, and we are more prepared for taking in a beaver. And she's about 2 months old, and so rehabilitating a beaver is a 2-year process, which is why it's such a difficult thing to do and why so many people don't do it. Getting them past the first few months of their life is the most crucial. So I would say up to like 4 or 5 months is the most sensitive time.
Now, most of the time when we visit animal rehabilitators, they try to stay away from the animal, keep it wild, keep it afraid of humans. You're actually coddling that like it's your baby. Explain that to me.
So for beaver, it's extremely important that they feel a bond with at least one person, 2 people maximum. And that's because during that first 2 years that they're out in the wild, they're very close to their mothers, and that's why it's important to coddle them so that they can essentially imitate the bond. And they actually don't imprint to people. So I know that's a concern sometimes with beaver being a 2-year rehabilitation, and with coddling the beaver, that they will adjust just fine to the wild once released.
So like in 2 years, the hormones kick in, they want to be wild, they want to go make it on their own, and you're going to release it. Mm-hmm. That's going to be tough on you, I bet.
Yeah. More us than it is them.
So what does it eat? What did you do to make it a comfortable place for it to live?
So a couple different things. So we just recently set up this whole new pool for her that has a special filtration system. Beaver will only defecate and urinate in water, so it's extremely important that they have a large body of water that they can swim in, that they can use the bathroom in, and they actually don't need heated water either. So this is just normal temperature, whatever it is in the air is what the temperature is in the pool. And they have a variety in their diet. So we feed her sweet potatoes, rodent block, which is a special type of nutrients for rodent-like animals in specific, which they do classify beaver as rodents. Avocado apparently is her favorite. Apples, different types of greens. They really rely on iron and iodine, which are 2 really important nutrients for them. So iron-rich greens like kale, spinach, strawberries, and most importantly, trees and bark.
So was there like a book that you read on how to raise a beaver? I mean, you know, this is pretty unusual for us to see, but you're now in charge. The two of you and Janine are in charge of this little animal. How did you learn to do what you're about to do?
Hours and hours and hours of research from the both of us. The thing about beaver too is that there's not a lot of data online in terms of how to manage their care in captivity. Again, because not a lot of people do it. So you're just reading a lot about how they survive in the wild, what they eat, their behavior, what type of water they need. So no books in specific, and of course talking to other rehabilitators as well that do beaver.
So if somebody calls you and says, "I've got another beaver," right? Will you be able to put it in here with Ella?
It depends on the age too, and one of the reasons Darla was actually transferred to us is because they have another beaver at Newhouse Wildlife Rescue named Nibby, and Nibby does not like other beavers.
Okay.
Beaver typically do well most with other beavers. They don't do well in solitude, because when they're in the wild, they're not in solitude. They're family-oriented animals. So essentially, we would have to take some time after receiving another beaver before we decided to put it in the winter.
Yeah, I watched on Facebook how this went from just a shed to a beaver home. You threw it together pretty quickly.
Yeah, so Frank Manyhart, who's our property manager and builder here, is in charge of 95% of building our enclosures, and he impresses me on a daily basis. I don't know how he did this in 48 hours, but he was given the directive that we need this enclosure done to take in this beaver, and he spent literally 48 hours straight pretty much just getting this all set up.
Wow. So how long are you going to hold it, and is it already swimming around on its own and everything? So you must love your job. I mean, look what you're doing right now.
I do. This is exactly where I'm meant to be, and I've never seen myself doing anything different.
Oh my goodness.
Cutest thing ever.
How about it, you know? And then when you think about it, living out there under the ice for years, I mean, they have a pretty tough life, right?
Yeah, they make complete dens underneath the ice. It's pretty impressive. They can hold their breath for 15 minutes.
Well, we don't want that. Where are you, kiddo?
She
Underneath
likes
her
to hide
rocks.
under her rocks here.
Here she is.
And beaver are actually absolutely crucial to our ecosystem.
Yeah, so people look at them as dam builders and tree choppers, right?
Yeah, but it's so much more than that. Them building a dam in any type of body of water actually somehow changes the filtration and bacteria in that water. Having a beaver in a lake or a river actually introduces good bacteria, and it brings new fish, it brings new aquatic life, plants, things like that. A lot of people do see them as nuisance animals, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, so what is that you're holding?
So these are sweet potatoes. That's one of her favorite vegetables. We only provide her a little bit because if we give her a lot of sweet potato, that's all she's going to eat. We have iron-rich greens, so spinach, kale, avocado, broccoli, which is another iron-rich green, apples, raspberries, strawberries, pistachios. All of the animals that we have here eat very, very well every day.
And we're going to get down to what we always end up talking about with you guys. This is not free. Like, you had to pay for the lumber, you have to pay for her food. Taking on a new critter like this and building a new house, you're also taking on some expense.
Mm-hmm. A beaver is the most expensive animal to rehabilitate because of that 2-year time frame.
All right, I'm going to be an antagonist, and why'd you do it?
Because we will never turn down any animal that's in need, and this is what we're here to do. And giving her a chance to be back out in the wild and be an important part of our ecosystem is what's most important to us.
There's only one other center in Pennsylvania that does beaver, and that's Park Nature Center in Chalfont. I believe right now they have 3, so they can't take any more. They're at capacity because of the size of them. They're already getting along. They can't introduce another one because they take the risk of them fighting and killing one another. So it's really important too that there's at least 2 facilities that'll accept them in.
Awesome. So, you know, I've been doing stories with rehabilitators for over 30 years. And every now and then, an animal like Darla comes in and you get to ask questions that you've never been able to do before. I hope you found them interesting. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.